A Dime a Dozen. Illustration and story by J.V. Sheep. "I can't stand it," groaned Yarn, the cookies and cream ice cream bunny. She was complaining to Button about the hot weathers that have been hitting the island for days. Some coldies don't mind it, others say otherwise. Button smiled while Yarn kept on rambling. "I need to find something to take my mind off this weather, but everything feels so uncomfortable in this heat," she said. "If the outdoors is what gets you out the most, best find an activity in a cool environment, like a mall. They usually have air conditioning, or even the movies. You can enjoy a show while cooling off," said the vanilla ice cream geep. But Yarn wasn't listening. She was too busy trying to scooch under Button's umbrella. "I know, I'll just find something to do indoors," she said as she ran off into the distance, leaving Button to only facepalm. "That's what I just said." Yarn walked all the way to the movies and watched the latest film that they were playing. After that, she made her way to the mall and bought herself some nice new collectible figures, along with a small drink. Then she made her way to the ice skating rink to watch the skaters in their graceful dances and hops. "Squeak! I had such a fun day. It must be getting late now. Better head home before..." But when Yarn looked at her watch, no more than 3 hours had passed since she last saw Button. "It's only 12 in the afternoon," she exclaimed, "and the weather's just gonna get hotter still." The sun was beating hard on the island now. Yarn really did not want to go back home until her aircon had been fixed. Now she really found it irritating. So she scurried into a nearby building and was greeted with a wonderful feeling. A nice, cool, breezy air filled the place from top to bottom, just like a freezer. To Yarn's surprise, everyone in the building had books, were on computers, or were just walking around, all without making a single peep. She was in a library. Oh, great. The bunny sighed quietly. At least it beats staying out there in the hot sun. She spent the next hour just diddle-daddling on a computer, playing games and just researching around the web. But that got cut short when her time ran out on the computer. She wanted to hop on another computer, but they were all occupied. "Well, dip my ears in chocolate," she groaned, but was then shushed by the librarian. Wandering around, the film section caught her attention. Lots of old cartoons and old films that did spark her interest. She wanted to take some home, but that would mean she would have to be in her house all day with no aircon. Then she caught sight of something interesting. A nice red book just peeping out of its shelf. Yarn wasn't exactly a bunny for books, but something about this book interested her. There it was, peeking out like it was saying, "Come closer, Yarn. You know you want to have a look. Free me from the shelves and I am all yours." She took it out from the shelf and... no title. "That's odd," she thought to herself. "Where's the cover?" Examining the book thoroughly. Front, back, inside and out. But there was no title to be seen on such a book as this. If she won't find it by looking, then she'll have to find it by reading. The bunny sat at a nearby table and began to read the contents. She was immediately fascinated by the first few pages. The story followed a young boy who wanted to become a knight, but everyone says he is too small and should think about being someone useful. Chapter after chapter, she has yet to find the title. That didn't matter anymore, thanks to the story grabbing her interests even more. "Excuse me, ma'am," said a voice. "The library is closing. Please make your way to the exit." Yarn was so enthralled by the book that night had fallen when she looked out the window. Yarn wanted to take the book home, but she didn't have a library card. So she left the book for the librarian to collect and walked out on a cool night sky. The next day, she talked to Button all about the book. She chattered so much about it that Button couldn't help but smile to hear how much she loved it. "I'm telling you, Button, this book is the best book I've ever read in my entire life." "That is great to hear, Yarn. Glad to see you found a good book to read. What is it called again?" asked Button. Yarn stammered for a minute. "That's the thing, Button. I don't know what it's called. It's just a big red book with a golden sword in the middle." "Well, "Didn't you check it out before you left the library?" said the yellow geep. "I did. I read through a good few chapters, but I found nothing of the sorts," she said, misinterpreting what her friend said. No. I mean, didn't you borrow the book? I assume you took it home with you." Yarn told Button that she didn't have a library card because she never thought of using one until now. Button offered her his library card so she can borrow the book. If her heart could be filled with any more joy, she'd burst into stars. She thanked him and ran back to the library. She got so excited she accidentally slipped on one of the steps and hit the floor with a thump. But even with such a fall, it did not stop her from getting that book. She searched high and low for that book, checking around the same aisle she found it in. It was nowhere to be found. Hello, hi, can I ask you something?" she said to the lady at the front desk. "I'm trying to find a book, you see, and I'm wondering if you happen to know where it is." "Well, what's the title of the book?" said the lady. "Well," Yarn stammered again, "I don't know the title, but it's a large red book with a golden sword in the middle." The lady then typed it down on her computer to see if they had it. One result came back, and it turns out that the book was already checked out by another person. "What?" she yelled, but was then shushed. "I mean, what? By whom?" "Don't get your muffins stale, ma'am. The book will be returned in 3 weeks." 3 weeks? But I want to read the book now," Yarn said with a little tear in her eye. She tried her best to keep her emotions in check, but the smell of cookies and cream started to flavor the air around her. "I'm so sorry, little bunny, but there's nothing I can do. You'll just have to be patient." Poor little Yarn walked out of the library with no book in hand, but an empty feeling in her heart. She spent the whole morning sulking at a nearby diner with Button. "Sorry to hear about the book," said little old Button. "I can tell you are really bummed out about it. You haven't even touched your soup." "What good is soup if you can't read it?" Dark gray clouds loomed over this bunny. "Here's your card back, Button." Button took his card back and sat down. Only the return of her favorite book could bring her mood back up. Just then, he caught a glimpse of another individual with a similar book, only it was a blue book with a golden shield. "Please excuse me, Yarn. I'll be right back," he said as he left the table. Button returned minutes later to give her the news. "Where are we going?" Yarn said in a confused tone of voice, but Button grabbed her hand and rushed out of the diner, right after he paid, of course. Both Geep and Bunny walked and walked until they entered a bookstore. Inside was not only breezy and cool, but right there on one of the aisles were the exact same books Yarn was reading. She could not believe her eyes. It was like a miracle. She ran over in a blink of an eye to grab the first book she laid eyes on. "Button, how did you know where to find it?" she yelled cheerfully. "I saw someone with a similar book in hand and asked where they got it from. And look, it appears to be a series of them too," he said, pointing to more books with different colored covers with golden weaponry. She hugged her yellow friend and proceeded to buy as many as she could and walked all the way home. She couldn't wait to get started on where she left off. Her aircon had been finally fixed and spent the next few days reading her books like there was no tomorrow. She couldn't be any more happy to have found her favorite book just waiting to be read at a local bookstore. To think it was just there, along with multiple copies just waiting at a table. And she finally found out the series of books were called The Golden Arsenals. Thank you for reading. Stay tuned for more stories with Button and Company.